Right, I'm sorry if you've not been able to see that video very clearly. It is on YouTube, and if anyone wants to see the video, I can show it. The main purpose for describing that is it's a 2-minute video. And in fact, in reality, what I actually needed to see was the alarm symptoms, alarm signs rather, what to do and where to go with it. You could probably do that in about a minute. And in a 10-minute GP consultation, spending a minute just to identify, just to be sure about what to do. That scenario was about a patient who was very depressed. And the question was, do I refer the patient and dictate a letter for them to be seen by the mental health services in a couple of weeks? Or do I ask for that patient to be seen in the A&E department by the A&E liaison nurses? And the map of medicine was there supporting me to work out what's best for that particular patient. Okay, so let's just go beyond the consulting room and say, well, what else, what does the map of medicine offer beyond the consulting room? Well, remember, since 2004, the copying letters to patients directive from the DH has meant that all consultants should automatically be sending copies of letters to the patient as well as to the GP. And I'm pleased to say that more and more clinicians are doing that. By the way, just in this room, the clinicians that are here, do you automatically send letters to patients or not? Yeah, there's a few nods there. So step one is already happening, where patients are getting copies of those letters. But how useful is that discharge letter or that letter going to be for the patient, unless they've got something to compare it with, something that says, this is the standard that we have agreed locally, look at your letter and see how it compares. And so maybe if locally we determined a way of managing a condition such as depression or whatever, then giving a copy of the map of medicine to the patient to say, here's your letter, and by the way, this is the pathway that you're on, may be helpful. Actually, let's save a few trees, let's not keep printing paper. Why not give them access to the map of medicine so that they can access it themselves if they've got the IT? And before people in the room turn around and say, well, actually, how many of our patients do? National survey shows that over 70% of households do have access to the internet, and because of things like libraries and workplace and whatever, I think the proportion can actually access, and families of course, the proportion that can access the internet is much greater than you might imagine. So there's an opportunity there for patients to be able to see it. But the question is, well how are patients going to see that record? That map of medicine pathway? Well, map of medicine pathways are available through NHS Choices. NHS Choices is www.nhs.uk. Here is the home page, and down here, if you click on that, then you'll see it says also on NHS Choices, and the second option there says map of medicine, see what your doctor can see. That's where patients can access the international version of the map of medicine and be able to see the evidence base for their pathways. So that's one way of doing it, through NHS Choices. The other way of doing it is maybe thinking, and by the way, that's the depression pathway that the patients would be able to see, which is very similar to the one I've just used. But the other way of doing it is perhaps you thinking about your own organisation that you work in, and perhaps on your own website thinking about putting a link into the map or to your particular pathways that you've got. Here's my practice website, and on the practice website we've got a self-care section down there, and in that self-care section there is the map of medicine from which they can access the same pathway. Patients have a relationship with your organisation. If as an organisation you start promoting those pathways, patients will be directed to them, and not just patients but their families too, and the opportunity that that gives.